Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me out there? What's up, Rusty? Jersey Red, what's up? James Cody from Syracuse, what's going on? Welcome, everybody. MA, what's going on? Jay, what's happening? All right, great to see you. Peter and Sydney, good day. Keep dry with the rain. John McCarthy, London, Ontario, what's up? Jamie LaChance from snowy, freezing Alberta. Thanks so much for that. My home province of Alberta, Canada. Thank you. Excuse me. Craig in Melbourne. Good day. Yes. Talking about the rain. Scott, welcome. 3 weeks in a row. Excellent. Elias, happy Friday. Back at you. HH from Ottawa. What's up? Glenn B. The telly's plugged in, ready to go. I love it. Jeff Steen, Minnesota. What's up? Nikki the dog, as always. Jim Gregory, as always. Erica, hello, hello. Mario. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. Ray Anderson, what's up? Chris Cook from Perth, good day. Arthur Layton, looks like we're all back. Yes, all the regulars. I love it. Igor from Mexico City. And the son and wife say hi. Say hi back. What's up? Good to see you. King 50, Northern Nevada. Great to see you. Alonzo. Alonzo's back. Northern Virginia. All right. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. Ray, what's up? Northern California foothills looking for snow. Crazy. All right. Well, and Tien from Vietnam. Awesome. It's for you. Is here and ready. Excellent. Let's roll. Rusty, what's up? Okay, so we got the electric this week, but as always, don't be shied away if you got your acoustic out, because all of these exercises can transfer for the most part between acoustic and electric. All right. Zane, what's going on? Theodore, good to see you. So this is one of the guitar workout, kind of streams that we do. Usually every 4 weeks we get around to this one, the electric kind of workout. We always start off with chromatic warm-up. Oh, by the way, for those of you just joining us for the first time, expand the description below this video. There are tabs. You have a link that will take you to the tabs for tonight. What's up, Mar? How you doing? Or MAR, not sure which one it is, but welcome nonetheless. All right. We always do some sort of a chromatic workout, warm-up on the workout. And this one, I decided make it a little bit tricky and just work those weaker fingers in relation to the index. So just groups of 3 going up chromatically. Jason in Perth. All right. What's up? What's up? So, for example, you're going to see the first, is it the 5th, 6th, and 7th? Terry, welcome, ready to rock. I love it. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Now, usually I start around the 4th fret, just like somewhere middle, around the middle of the fretboard, right? And use all 4 fingers. This time we're just using these 3, excluding the index finger. And you'll see that it's a little trickier, okay, when you're not anchored with the index finger. So, for example, I'm going to go 5, 6, and 7 and go up the string. So, okay. So, what's up, Chris Cook? All right. Why I like this exercise is that usually we're doing 4 fingers, right? So when you work on your alternate picking down, up, it always works out that you're changing strings on a downstroke, right? Well, this time, because we're doing 3 notes per string, it doesn't work out that way. So you're actually going to cross a string with an upstroke and then a downstroke and then an upstroke and a downstroke, et cetera, right? Because if you're going down, up, down, your next one's an upstroke and you're going to have to move to the next string. Then it's up, down, up, and then boom. The string after that resets again with the downstroke, okay? So we're going to play up the strings. So if you got the click going, 1, 2, 3, pull it, 4, pull it, triple it, groups of 3, right? And the first pick out of the top 3 is the click, right? If we had a click going. Okay. And when we get up to the top, we're just going to keep going up. but we're going to move up a fret. So now it's going to go 6, 7, 8 and come down the strings. And then just keep moving up, right? This kind of exercise that you can do for, you know, a couple minutes just to warm up everything. All right. So let's roll through it slowly here, and I'm going to go up and down a couple times, and hopefully you can hang with it. All right. So I'm going to count it in. 1, 2, triple it, triple it. What's up, John? Good to see you. That's sort of the idea of that exercise. Of course, that's always, you know, just there's so many variations of this kind of thing that you can just change it up every time you sit down with the guitar and just try something different with it. So that's the idea behind that. And, you know, just meant to get the fingers moving, but also we can work on the steady down up picking, okay, alternate picking. And if you so desire, use it with a metronome, right? And really lock in with that. Excellent, excellent. Exercise 2. Some sort of a syncopated strum is usually what I put into this section. And so I've got a little bit where I've got a strumming pattern that actually changes in the third bar and goes back to the original strum pattern. So we've got 2 strum patterns. Now, the good news is that the third bar strumming pattern is just all downstrokes. It's very easy. But the previous strum pattern that we start with in exercise 2, bar 1, is got some syncopation, which means that sometimes our strums are happening in between the beats. Okay, that's what syncopation means. So instead of just like I do in the third bar on this first D chord, right? Just doing all downstrokes, I want to cut it up into eighth notes where I'm 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or down and down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay. So if we look at this, we've got a couple downstrokes, and you can see this by the symbols on top of the tabs. Okay. And there's sort of a staple pointing down. That's your downstroke. And then when you've got the arrow pointing down, that means an upstroke. Okay. So if we get this motion going, and, you know, as I mentioned every week, this is how we keep time, is try to keep that arm in time back and forth, because we're doing eighth notes, right? So 1 and 2 and down, up, nice and relaxed here. Okay. And we can just keep this motion and then apply the strings when we want to do the strum. So those first 2, okay, just the first 2 is down, down, but then there's an upstroke right after on the end of 2. So down, down, up, up. That's our strum. Okay, so they're end of 2, end of 3 upstrokes, letting it ring out. See what I'm doing? I'm keeping my strum arm going, right? Okay. All right. So first chord is just an open D chord. Second chord, common move, the C add 9 chord. It sort of looks like a G, but those lower notes are up a string set starting on the 5th string or the A string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret of the D string or the 4th string. And then we've got the 3rd fret of the B and high E string there. Okay? Right on, Russ. No problem. Try to go not miss anything, right? Okay? So C9, which means we've still got a C triad here. So that's a C major, and then we've got the D note added, 3rd fret of the B string, which would be the 9 in relation to C. And then we've got a higher 5th up top, okay, which is already in the chord. It's just a higher octave. So C add 9. So practice those first 2 bars. Going to go. Now here's where the 3rd bar comes in, and now we're interrupting the strum with another strum. I'm going to go to the G chord from the C add 9, and all that means is I just need to move those 2 lower notes down a string set. So I've got the 3rd fret of the low string, 2nd fret of the A string, okay? So 2, and then an open A chord, 3, 4. Right, so that bar is going to go. And then it's back to the D chord. All right, so Jamie's got a great question here. Am I strumming the lower notes here, or am I strumming the low E for these chords? And except for the G chord, I do not want to have the low E ringing out because it'll make it sound messy, right? Right? Cleans up if I'm fretting something on the G chord. Okay, we want to clean that up, right? So, for example, let's take the D chord first. I really want to aim on the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string, top 4 strings, right? Now, the thing about the D chord is that there's an actual A in the chord, okay? So if you hit this open A string, it sounds nice and thick and it's not muddy, like if we added that low E string into some of the chords with the low E. For example, like the C add 9, right? Even though there's an E in that chord, there's something about this low string that just makes it a little bit muddy, okay? It kind of clouds the sound of the chord, whereas if I just start on the 5th string and go up, it's nice and clean and crisp sounding, right? Okay, and also same with that D chord, nice and crisp with the D, but for some reason that open A is in a register where it doesn't mud up as much. And it still sounds good. So a lot of times I would say it's okay to have that open A string on an open D chord, but notice where my thumb is here. Okay, I'm just poking it over top and just giving it a little flesh so that if I happen to strum that low string with everything, it doesn't ring out, right? If I don't have the thumb there, but I can just put it over top like that. Another thing you can do is just aim your strums, right? Once you get comfortable with the chord shapes, you know, have a look and practice, give it a couple minutes at a time of just making sure your pick, like aiming your pick for certain strings, okay? Okay, don't underestimate, you know, having to look, but practicing this, because if you do enough repetition of that, you won't have to look at it, and it's like, okay, I'm strumming the top 4 strings, right? I want to add the 5th string. Okay, and then I've also got my thumb wrapped around to make sure that low string. Okay, by the time we get to the C, okay, notice I don't have my thumb there, but this finger right here on the A string, if I position it right on the A string, fretting the 3rd fret, I can still get just the tip of my finger on a little bit of flesh on that low string, okay? So that's something to kind of practice a little bit, is just getting that finger in there, but also feeling, you know, scooching it in there to be able to just feel it touching the low string. And so, you know, Even if you strike that low string, it's not going to ring out. Okay? You with me? Okay? Hopefully that makes sense, Jamie. So yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into what can we do to make the strings that we don't want to ring out. How do we prevent it? Okay, and sometimes it's a thumb, sometimes it's another finger button up against, sometimes it's here. Okay, in this case we're doing wide open strums, so that's not really the greatest approach. But there's other times where this, just how you position your strum and your picking. You can rest on the strings that you don't want to have ring out, right? Cool. Great question. Thank you. Exercise 3, a little bit of cool arpeggiated picking on a chord progression, okay? So we're starting off with a G chord, and I'm using these bar chord shapes with the root 5, root on the 5th string. So I'm all the way up at the 10th position. What's up, James? Welcome. Okay, 10th fret of the A string, barring down on the 12th fret of the D, G, and B. Happens to be a G major chord right there. Okay, and that's the movable bar chord shape based on the open A, right? That we can kind of move up the neck. Okay. So that's the first chord. And then we're going to come down to E minor. So we're using the same string sets here, which should simplify this exercise a little bit. And it's E minor this time. So it's, basically for those of you who know B minor, it's that shape just up here at the 7th fret. Okay. And then going back to the major shape at the 5th fret for D major. And then 2 frets down for C major. Now, what's our picking pattern here? We're going to go down, down, up, up. And the first 2 are the A string or 5th string, and then the 4th string or the D string. So we're going to pick that. Then you're going to grab upstroke, 12th fret of the B, 12th fret of the G string. So you're upstroking the B string and the G string. So that's our picking pattern. Down, down, up, up. Down, down, up, up. Okay? So that's the first one. Then I'm going to move to E minor down here. Same picking pattern though. Okay? Down another 2 frets. Now it's D major. Same picking pattern. And then 2 more frets to C. So let's put it all together with the chord changes. Right? So nice and slow, and then work your way up, right? Once you kind of get comfortable with that, start upping the tempo a little bit. That's the idea with that one, okay? And as I mentioned pretty much every week, hopefully these little exercises, right, are, sort of real-world musical examples. But take the time to kind of mess around with them and experiment with them. Move these into different keys, different parts of the neck, different string sets, okay? And mess around with these kind of things. And, I think it's all a worthwhile exercise to just try all sorts of different ways to play something based on that exercise. Okay. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. All right. So bonus marks here. What key are we in this chord progression? Does anyone have any idea? Does anyone know what key we're in? 1, 6, 4, or 5. I like that. So if it's a 1, 6, 4, 5, what key would it be? It'd be the key of G, right? Right. Excellent. So yeah, good job. Everybody's got it, right? So when you think about the chord sets in certain keys, you look at chord progressions and you see if those chords match what the chord set would be. Okay. So for example, we're all saying G, right? So yeah, so if G is the 1 chord, right, then the 6th note in the G major is E, so our 6th chord would have a root starting on G, but the 6th note of the scale would have E as the root, right? So that means that this chord could be our 6th chord. And the other giveaway on that is that in a major key, right, the 1, 4, and 5 are major, and the 2, 3, and 6 are minor. So this fits, right? There is 6 minor chord, and it fits in the key of G, right? Now what's D? D would be the 5th in relation to G, so we would expect that chord to be a major chord. Boom. It is, so it works. And then C, 4th note in the scale is C, so the root of the 4th chord, again, we expect it to be a major chord, and it is. So all 4 of those chords check out to the key of C, right? And so there you go. That's sort of how you, in a very simple way, sort of start thinking about analyzing a chord progression to figure out what key you're in, right? Great. 1 chord, 6 minor, 5, 4. Good job. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Exercise 4. Of course, we're going to do some triads, right? More triad examples, top 3 strings, mixing up some major and minors. I've got kind of a cool chord progression here. We'll talk about this in a bit. Okay, so a little bit of syncopation here. So let's look at the strumming pattern first. So we're doing a down, up, mute, or down, up, rest, and then coming in on an upstroke and letting it ring out. Okay, so if I kept the chord the same, 5th fret of the G and B, 3rd fret of the high string, let's just for a second figure out this. I meant G, yes, HH, thank you. I think I said C by mistake in the previous example. Yes, key of G, right? Key of G. Yep. We're talking about the key of G. Okay. Exercise 4. I'm just going to keep this 5, 5, and 3 on the G, B, and E string, which is a C major triad. Okay. And the C note is the lowest note in this particular shape. Sorry about that, everybody. Sometimes you mix it up a little bit. So we're going to do a down, up strum. Okay. And then mute. Okay, so you use your karate chop for that. The other thing you can do is kind of release the pressure off the frets, but not off the strings, right? Like that. I find using both really effective, right? And then I'm going to go to this G chord, 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. That's a major, first inversion major triad because the 3rd is in the bottom, the B note, right? Recognize that shape that comes out of the G major bar chord. If you just look at the top 3 notes, there it is, okay? So that's where the syncopation comes in, is that we're doing a down, up, and then a rest and coming in on an upstroke, letting it ring out, and then finishing it off with an up, down, up. Okay. Okay. That's what we're going for. Excellent, Russ. Right on, right on. So let's go really slow with it. And again, I'm using my fingers to kind of butt up against the D string to mute if that gets strummed. And then I'm also resting my palm on kind of the two lower strings, right? So, okay. Guitar seems out of tune. Yeah, it's a little bit, got lighter strings on it. So I kind of pull it a little bit sometimes. But I think we're pretty close enough for rock and roll, right? Yeah, this particular guitar has lighter strings, so it's easy to kind of like when you fret stuff with a little bit of pressure, just move it a little bit, it can go out of tune, right? I have to do a lighter touch on it. Next chords in the second bar, D minor, so I've got 7, 6, and 5 on the G, B, and high E. And then I'm barring down at the 5th fret of the top 3 strings for A minor, okay? So this first one's a D minor shape. Okay, so check out the difference between C major, okay, which is 5, 5, and 3. And if I move it up 2 frets, now I've got 7, 6, and 5. So that B string has come down 1 fret, right? So think about that. In the case of C, it goes root, 3rd, 5th. And if I flat the 3rd, it makes it minor, right? So those shapes should be somewhat, make sense when you try to remember those shapes, right? Major, and then the minor is just going to move on that B string for this particular shape. So if I move it up 2 frets to the new root D, it's a D minor. And then barring down on the 5th fret, I've got A minor, and you would recognize that from the A minor bar chord, root 6, top 3 notes. Okay, so that's our chord progression. I kind of broke it up with a double staff line here at the end of the second bar, so you can just practice this simple little progression here. Kind of played it wrong there. All right, that's what it sounds like, okay? Alonzo, it's funny you'd say that about tuning. I'm playing a new guitar and having the same thing with your tuning. Well, if it's a new guitar and you haven't stretched out the strings, that could be a problem as well, okay? What you kind of have to do when you string up your guitar with new strings, or if you got a new guitar and it presumably has new strings on it, so you have to sort of stretch the strings out because they'll slip at the post a little bit, okay? So you have to keep kind of stretching the strings and tuning it back up until it sort of stabilizes to the point where if you're, you know, kind of stretching it a little bit, it doesn't go out very much, okay? So really important part of changing your strings or getting new strings or getting a new guitar might have something to do with that. But also it could be, it's a new guitar, right? Might have taller frets, right? So where if you're really clamping down on the strings, it could pull them sharp a little bit, right? So it's all about sort of, you know, finding the sweet spot on how to play the guitar, okay? Mario, need the cutaway. There you go. All right, so yeah, finding the sweet spot on just whatever set of strings you have, types of frets you have, and just finding the right touch for it to stay in tune. Hopefully doing a better job, Ruan. Hopefully doing a better job keeping it in tune, as I tend to sometimes not focusing on that so much. Cheers, everybody. All right. So the next 2 bars are the same progression, just with different triad shapes up the neck. So if I look at the next one, 9th fret of the G barring down at the 8th fret of the top 2, there's C major, okay? If I come down to the D shape, 7th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B, 7th fret of the high string, that's G major there. So I've got C major, right, which was the same shape. What's up, James? Same shape as what we played with the G, but it's up here, you know, part of the C bar chord with the root 6. And then here with the D shape, this is the first time we've seen the D shape, right? Up here, and you slide it up, you've got G major. Okay, so we've got, and then for D minor, we've got that A minor shape, which is just barring down, this time at the 10th fret of the top 3 strings. And now we have a new shape for minor. Excuse me. Okay, so the shape for A minor is 9th fret G, 10th fret of the B, 8th fret of the high string. All right, so here we got the 5th in the bottom. It's a second inversion. Okay, so that's why the 5th's in the bottom, roots in the middle, minor thirds up top. Okay, so hopefully what I'm trying to do with this exercise is introducing you to the different major and minor shapes for triads on, in this case, the top 3 strings. Now, to extrapolate this exercise and kind of study a little bit further, see if you can take this chord progression and find all the shapes on, say, the D, G, and B strings, or the A, D, and G strings. Okay, those are some different shapes, but very worthwhile to know the major and minor triads all across the neck, right? Alonzo's got the Squire Strat. Congrats, man. Awesome. The Squires are killer these days, right? Excellent. Cool, cool. All right, so let's play that second one. It's going to go something like this. Third one, the last 2 bars, we're going to go up the neck even further. So I apologize to those of you on the acoustic guitar. It's going to might get a little scrunchy up here. But we've got starting in, I guess it's marked bar 14 on the tabs, but it's really the 5th bar of this exercise, exercise 4. Starting on a C triad, it's the D shape up at the 12th fret. So 12, 13, 12. Of the G, B, and high E string. James, when playing these triads, the open strings are not played. That's correct. No. We just want to strum the top 3 strings, okay? We don't want those low strings ringing out, okay? Triads, 3-note chords. 3-note chords, okay? That's what we're working on, all right? C major up top here, and then the G is that 12, 12, 10 shape, top 3 strings. Okay, and then I'm going to go up to, which is going to be 14, 15, and 13 on the top 3 strings. Minor for D minor. Okay, and then come down to a different shape here. It's got 14, 13, 12 for A minor. And you recognize that as sort of the upper part of what would be like a minor bar chord shape with the root on the 5th string. Okay, so when you put that together, you've got right? Okay. There we go. I'm not sure I did a great job keeping that in tune. It kind of gets hard once you're up the neck, right? So triads this week, right? Work on it. Try to memorize those shapes. Okay, they come in super handy. Right on, right on. Appreciate that. Thank you. How's everybody doing? All right. Okay. What would be a guitar workout without some sort of a blues thing? Okay, so kind of came up with a blues riff that maybe uses a different sort of overall shape that you might not be used to. Okay, so there's a lot of blues riffs play out of that, you know, let's say if I pick the key of B to play a blues. So most of you, if not all of you, right on HH, it's probably make the headache worse, if you know what I mean. But back to exercise 5. So I've got this B minor pentatonic scale, right? And so probably most of you know this, if not all of you. You know, it's sort of the first scale that a lot of people learn, and it's a great one for blues, right? And a lot of times you get blues riffs played right out of that pattern, right? That kind of thing, or like, right? Something like that. But in this case, what I did was found the B minor pentatonic pattern that's on this side. Okay, so you see where my B note is, and I've got a B minor pentatonic pattern kind of in front of. I'm anchored at the 7th fret, and those notes are on the higher frets, right? But there's also a pattern below here that I can use. Okay, and that one goes, it's 7, going down to 5, back to 7. Okay, but it's actually pretty easy to remember because it's symmetrical. So I've got, remember that your root's at the 7th fret of the low string, but in the scale, you've also got this lower A note at the 5th fret. So what you have here for a pattern is you've got 5, 7, 5, 7, and then the 2 middle strings, 4, 7, 4, 7, and then the top 2 strings, 5, 7, 5, 7. Okay? What's up, Jeff? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so there's B minor pentatonic right beside the box. So one of the things you can do is practice these together, right? Right? Kind of come up, like play down one, come back the other one, or reverse it, or whatever, right? But just know that there's sort of like this really easy to remember pattern on the other side of the root note. Okay, so we don't always have to play on this side. We can play over on this side, right? Right? Okay, so with that in mind now, came up with a little bit of a single note blues riff. And remember, we've got the bluesy shuffle going, okay? So our ands are going to be pushed a little bit closer to the next downstroke just to give it that bounce. The riff's going to sound like this. Okay, that's the riff. So what do we got? We got the pinky on the B note down here, and I'm grabbing the octave with my index finger. 4th fret of the G string, so a little bit of string skipping there, and then cut it off with a rest, and then your index finger is in the right position right here to grab 4 and then 7 on the D string, and then the final one is the 5th fret of the A string with a bit of a bluesy bend, right? Like anytime we got the blues going, if you get that minor third, which is what the D is in relation to B, you got the minor third, you want to give it just a little bit of a bend to hear that pitch come up a bit, right? That's sort of the bluesy thing, right? So put it all together. And so what I did was I tabbed out all the other chords in the 1, 4, 5. So you want to move up to the 4 chord, which in the key of B would be magic L, right? B to E, right? Magic L to the 5th, the F sharp. But here we can play the same riff basically up the neck. So now I've got my pinky to the 12th fret, and then reaching up for the octave, the 9th fret of the G. A little Zappish, that could be, yeah. Then back down. Then when you want to go to the 5 chord, you got to go all the way up to the 14th fret and then the 11th fret on the G string. And then I threw in a little turnaround for you guys. So we can totally add in a turnaround at the end here. Now I'm going back to the original box position here because it makes a lot of sense to do it for the turnaround. Okay, let's take a look at that. I'm going to play it a little bit here. Okay, let's look at that. Starting with the 7th fret of the low string, then going up to the octave, this time at the 9th fret of the D string. And I'm going to pedal off that higher octave and come up chromatically from the major third. So that's the 6th fret of the A to the 7th to the 8th to the 9th, alternating. Landing on the F sharp note, right? Which outlines the move to the 5 chord at the end of the turnaround. And then a really typical move, in this case with dominant 9th chords. So go up 1 fret from F sharp, grab a dominant 9th chord, which will be 10th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D, and then bar down the top 3 strings, 10th fret. Move that down 1 fret to go back down to the F sharp 9 in this case. Now you got a cool little riff to play, and it's based out of a different minor pentatonic pattern than you usually would play a blues out of, right? Whoopsie. All right. Played a little bit sloppy, but you get the idea. You can kind of like work on it a little bit, speed it up, and it's a cool little blues. But hopefully the takeaway is that right beside this one that you're going to mess around with playing along with those blues backing tracks on Guitar Tricks or YouTube or wherever, right? You can mess around with the pattern right below you. Okay. All right, on Jody 1. What's up, Guitar Barry? Welcome, welcome. Cool. All right. So back down to straight time again on exercise 7. Cool, Jim. Excellent. So exercise 7 is let's see, level here. This is a 16th note syncopation. Okay, so a little bit trickier. Can you please play the minor pentatonic scale? You might have to. We were just playing the minor pentatonic scales in 2 patterns just previously here, so you might want to rewind a little bit. Guitar Barry. All right. Okay, so now 16th note syncopated strum. John Burgess, is this still a pentatonic minor? Yes. Okay. So what you have on the fretboard is that you've got your minor pentatonic box, okay, which is just one of several patterns that connect together to cover the whole fretboard. Okay, so what I showed you with this previous exercise, exercise 6, is that right here you've got another pattern that connects the 4th fret to the 7th fret, right? Okay, and you've also got a couple more, right? If I can keep going here, right? So now I'm up at the 9th to the 12th fret, and I've got a B minor pentatonic pattern that looks different than the one here. All right. Does that make sense, John? Good morning for Tripoli. All right, you made it. MKA Melt, what's up? Hopefully that makes sense, okay? All right, so back to exercise 7, 16th note syncopated strum. I'm going to play it a little bit, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So. So that's the idea there, okay? So we've got some upstrokes happening here that are more in that, you know, you have to start thinking about 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and or down, up, 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 down, up. So we're going to an open E chord. And in this open E chord, very simple first strums are just going to be on the quarter notes. So I'm going to go 1E and 2E and you see how I want to get my strums going like this? 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and then on the third beat I'm going to switch to a C major. Okay, once again where I'm switching to the C major and muting that low string with a little bit of flesh from that lower finger, right? That's still on a downstroke. But what happens is we want to catch the last upstroke out of the 4 strokes in that beat, which is 3E and da. Okay, 3E and da. And then I'm going to mute right after that. 3E and 3E and 3E and okay, mute and then upstroke, mute, E mute, and then back in to the top of the bar where we repeat it, right? A little bit tricky, okay? Notice also, you sticklers out there, the D chord, you can play a full D major. I have it tabbed to have the open E ringing out, which sort of ties the riff together and is kind of, you know, it could be a D sus2. So whatever your preference is there will work just fine, either a D major or a D sus2. Okay, and the idea is that you want to work this up faster. You got it, yeah. A little bit of Alice in Chains influence there, right? Can't remember what record that's off of. Sap EP has something like that. I'm not sure if it's the same key, but that's the idea. And actually, what's going on with this chord progression, when you think about it, this is actually sort of a it's common to have this kind of chord progression happen, but it's a little bit interesting because it doesn't stay in one key, right? When you've got a C chord and a D chord, if you go to an E minor, that works in a couple keys. But if you go to E major, there's no C and D chord in E major, okay? Right, so what you're actually doing is switching between E major and E minor. Right, you're gonna be in the key of E major, just for the E chord, and then switch to the key of E minor for C and D, and then back to E major for the E major chord. This is actually really common to do this, to mix and kind of mix up key signatures a little bit, and it's called modal interchange. Okay, and it just really just songwriters and composers love doing this kind of stuff just to give a different sound. That's really all there is to it at the end of the day, is that we're going for a slightly different sound, right? Like I could stay in E minor for this and it would sound nice. Right? That sounds totally fine, right? But when I go to major, just adds a little twist in there, just sort of a different vibe, a different feel, okay? So that's what's going on with that one. Slow it way down and try to hear where it's... And it's kind of tricky to get the up, and you want to mute, up, mute. Okay, what I'm doing is just karate chopping, right? See that? Karate chopping. All right, everybody kind of get that one? All right, some I guess is sort of country-ish kind of lick, but you could use this in kind of any genre, really. Major pentatonic. Okay, so basically playing in this first one, on to exercise 8 now. I'm playing off this D chord. Okay. Hold on. Got to get it in tune here, right? That's what we're doing. Got to do it a bunch of times. You can hear I got a tremolo. This isn't the best exercise for a Floyd Rose because, you know, when you kind of bend up, sometimes you can pull it out of tune a little bit. So. All right, so I'm sliding from 7 to 9 on the A string. And then I'm grabbing the 7th fret of the D and G and the 10th fret of the B string. Okay, just check the tuning real quick. Okay, sliding from 7 to 9 on the A string. Okay, so what we're doing is we're kind of playing off this D major chord. So I'm barring down to the 7th fret of the D and G. Okay, and then adding the pinky at the 10th fret of the B string. So just practice that part of it. Now I'm going to add a bend. What's up from Brazil? Welcome, welcome. I do have a locking nut. Yes, it's not engaged right now. Yes, it does. But what happens is when you bend on like a floating tremolo, it can pull the forward a little bit and put the notes out of tune a little bit, right? So you have to kind of account for it a little bit. I actually think that it's not doing that. It's not moving, so. Okay. Anyway, back to it. Getting that first part and then just holding your pinky down. We're going to strike both the G and B strings. I've got the 9th fret of the G and I'm going to bend up a full step. And then bring it back down. Oh, the internet connection dropped. Sorry about that, Arthur. I think we kept going here. Hopefully it wasn't on my end. It didn't seem like anything was... Okay. And then back to the 7th fret of... That's what's happening on the G string, right? Okay, to the 7th fret of the G string, and then adding, once again, the pinky 10th fret of the B string. That's what that part is. Okay, so putting it all together. Unfortunately, Frigman, no, I don't even know that song. Sorry about that. If you want to check out the tabs, expand the description below this video. I've got a tab for what we're going through tonight. Just some general guitar exercises if you're interested. Okay. All right. So this could be like a rock lick, a country lick, a pop lick, that kind of thing. And in the second couple bars here below, I show it on the G chord on a different set of strings. Okay, so now sliding up 7 to 9 on the D string, then 7 on the G, but then 8 on the B. Okay. And then grabbing the 10th fret of the high string, and then you kind of have to. Now you're bending up on the 10th fret of the B string with the 10th fret of the high string being held. And then back down to the 8th fret of the B string with that, right? So this one on a G chord. Cool? Sort of playing off chord shapes, right? If you look at this, the D chord here, or, you're just, you can do the same thing off of this G chord shape right here. It's like one of the caged shapes, open C chord, but moved up to the G note on the 10th fret, and then just basically playing the D, G, and B string, adding a top D note up there. All right, you with me? Everybody's still here. Still got you. All right, last exercise. Let's see if I can play this one. Cool, Frigman. Excellent. Okay, so this one ending off with a hybrid picking riff. Okay. Okay, here we go. A little bit. Oh, cool. Thanks, Scott. All right, so Igor, thank you. Cool, cool. All right, cool, cool. Indeed. Exercise 8, that's what we're going for there really fast. Okay, we got to slow this down, obviously. Just using my pick on the open A string and using a little bit of palm muting where I need it, kind of in between. Going to use my middle and ring finger on the D and G string. Okay. So just work on this first part. You're going to do the open D and G string, and then hammer onto the 2nd fret. And then go back and forth. You're going to pick the A string with a little bit of palm muting, right? And then pluck the 2nd fret of the D and G. That's the first bar, okay? Second bar. So now moving up. These are all double stops on the D and G string. 5th fret barring down, 7th fret, back to this 5th fret. And on that pluck, I'm hammering my middle finger onto the 6th fret of the G string to give it sort of that bluesy dominant 7th sound. Okay? And then in between. Okay? Repeat it again. The last bar is a little bit different. Okay, so 5th fret, and then just going to the 5th and 4th fret of the D and G, and then sliding up to the 7th fret. Okay. All right. That's that last exercise. What's up, Strangs and such? Expand the description below the video. We've got some tabs. We're working on some exercises tonight, but we're come to the end of the hour. So we're all finished, but hopefully you'll scroll back, watch it, see the link below the video, and check out the tabs for what we just went through. Everybody, appreciate you joining each and every week. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. I hope everybody has a great weekend into next week. Is there a way to text or message with you? Go to Guitar, Rusty, if you're on Guitar Tricks, go to the forum and ask me directly there, and then I can usually get in touch with you if you leave your email there or something like that. Okay, don't really want to put it on YouTube right now, but you know, hit me up on the forum on Guitar Tricks. Ask Michael Leckie. All right, thanks so much to everybody. Jody 1, Zane. See you guys next week. Mario, Igor, thank you. King 50, Peter, what's up? Thank you. Theodore, Chris, I will have a great weekend. Back at you. Thank you. Russ, Jim Gregory, thank you so much. Right on, Jason, appreciate it. Cheers, John, back at you. Good to see you. John, thank you. I will have a good weekend. Back at you. All right. Nikki the dog, thanks so much. Well, I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you. Keith, thank you so much. All right. Frigman, thank you. Mar, thank you. Jay, thanks for hanging out all hour. Excellent, excellent. I hope you're well. Terry, yeah, got my Floyd shirt tonight. All right. HH, thank you. Right on, Glenn. I appreciate that. That's awesome. As long as some of that stuff just keeps like kind of just making little connections each and every time we go over stuff. That's the idea. Right on. Thanks, Arthur. Alonzo, thank you. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Cheers, everybody.